When I first came to the responsibility of the Diocese of Ottawa and Canada, there was next to nothing in terms of resources. This is partly because of the complex and difficult history of the diocese, and also because the center of my predecessor was in Montreal. And in Montreal, the diocese was part of the facilities of St. Peter and Paul Cathedral under Archbishop Sylvester. But rightly, Metropolitan Theodosius, and also with him the Holy Synod, directed me to do what I could to establish a center in Ottawa instead. First, because it's the capital of the country, and also there was no other Orthodox bishop in Ottawa at the time. In every other possible city, there were many Orthodox bishops, and we wanted to set an example of following the canons and having only one bishop per city, if possible. And that worked in Ottawa for a time. So, but the point of this is that when I came, there was nothing. I was the rector of the cathedral parish, which was tiny at the time. And we had to, with the help of local people, go searching for a place which would be suitable not only for a bishop to live, but also to establish an office so that the diocese would be functioning distinct from the cathedral parish or any other parish, and yet closely connected. Closely connected but not dependent. That was the principle. So Father John Scratch, who was the pastor of the cathedral at the time, was very helpful in searching for various properties around the region with what little resources we had. We were limited in the amount of money available, and it very much determined what we could find and accept. And after a lot of searching, it was clearly God's will, the way things developed, that we should take a small farm, the remainders of an older farm, way south of Ottawa, about 80 kilometers, near the St. Lawrence River. And on this small farm, there was an old farmhouse that at the time was about 100 years old, and needed some work, but it was a good place to begin. And so, with the agreement of the Diocesan Council, this property was bought, and we began to work on organizing the diocese as well as we could. And it meant doing everything, as I suggested, from next to nothing. So we began to collect the correct information about the diocese as well as we could. As has been pointed out, many of the parishes were listed under several different names, or not necessarily completely different names, but a way of describing this name. And it would be hard to tell that there was only the one from looking at the different descriptions. So it was necessary to begin work on clarifying these things. We had to develop a filing system because no proper filing system existed before this. We also had to develop archives because although there were some archival documents available, they were not properly organized or properly sorted, nor filed. So all of these things had to be, and many more details had to be taken care of. the structure of the diocese had to be developed so that there would be more than 2 functioning deaneries in the whole country, and this was in fact to an extent forced on the diocese, because the parishes were not that many, and it could have been argued that we only needed 2 deaneries, but when with this geography of Canada, it's not practical to have 2 deaneries for the whole country, and especially spread out as our parishes were. So the mercy of God provided 2 sisters, Olga Jurgens and her sister Helena Quilhane, who both lived in Ottawa, and one was about to retire, and the other one had retired and was a housewife. And they began to come out to the bishop's residence, which it had become, and office, and to help on a weekly basis out of the goodness of their hearts in establishing this filing system and helping me to do the correspondence that was necessary, and to discuss how to organize things, and then to develop systems on the basis of these conversations. These 2 very experienced women were extremely helpful in this foundational organization. In the course of time, Father Alexander P. Hatch was appointed to be the chancellor of the diocese, and he had at the time lived in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, but from there he did this chancellor work, which means to assist the bishop in organizing the functioning of the diocese, organizing the visits, and organizing the interior structure somehow, and helping in the parish visitation to a certain extent. But that required, after a while, that he moved to Edmonton in order to fulfill his responsibilities more efficiently. He had a very clear gift of organization, and because of his understanding of how things are done, a lot of things developed quickly, which otherwise would have taken me and the 2 sisters, it would have taken more time. So Father Alexander had also a great number of contacts because of his personal history, in part in the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, in which he had grown up. And these contacts also were beneficial to us in our development, and because the experience of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church was not that different in some respects from our own history. And we learned from both their successes and their errors, I think. Father Alexander also had a clear understanding of possibilities. And on the basis of this understanding, by the 1994, we were able to come to having regular pilgrimages organized within the diocese that went to Ukraine. That's the first place abroad that I went. The second place was Russia, on a private visit with Archbishop Mark of the Moscow Patriarchate, who took me to see the church in the region around Moscow in 1996. The following year, again, it was another visit to Ukraine, and there became many of them, mostly to Western Ukraine, all of them having one stop in Kiev, and because of course it's necessary to, as a bishop, to go and visit the ruling bishop of the whole church, and to have permission to travel within his dioceses. One of the main stops was Chernovtsi or Chernivtsi, and the current metropolitan of the Church of Ukraine is Metropolitan Onufry. At that time, he was only bishop of Chernovtsi, and I and the people with me developed a very friendly relationship with him and the people in his diocese in particular. There were also stops almost all the time in the Pochayev Monastery and also in the Kiev Caves Monastery. And besides that, we visited other cities. The very first visit, going back to 1994, we began in Odessa. We flew first to Odessa and then went by bus from Odessa north and west and to other places in Ukraine. Father Alexander also had a longtime friend who had developed a program of helping rescue children and young people from the streets when they came out of orphanages, and this program of rescuing them with shelter, giving them shelter, and also further education, usually in some sort of trade, saved many people from a terrible life that could easily have happened to them, and as usually does happen even to this day when they are dismissed from the orphanages at the age of 15. This particular work called Nashi, Our Children, which is operated out of Saskatoon in Saskatchewan, to this day looks after such young people. Mostly it's girls, but some of them are boys as well. Those pilgrimages carried on until 2010 for me. And they were interspersed with pilgrimages to Russia as well. Some of the visits that I made to Russia were, in my later years as a bishop, as part of my responsibility, participating in meetings and other big events, such as the return of the Pochayev icon of the Theotokos to Russia from North America in 2003, I think it was. Now I will also mention, with the help of Father Alexander, the diocese was able to secure the help of a then proto-deacon from the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of Canada, who is immigrated to our church in the canonical manner, and he became the diocesan secretary and the bishop's kind of right-hand assistant. And he built very much on the work that the two sisters I mentioned before had accomplished. He refined their systems and organized my visits to all sorts of places. The protodeaconate I was mentioning also had a lot of personal contacts, not only in North America but in Ukraine, because of course he had come from there many years before. And he was a spiritual son of Metropolitan Onufri. So in the course of his service in his diocese, he very much helped, not only in the administrative aspects where he was extremely competent, but also in the liturgical and other similar aspects of life, because there are the way of serving, especially a hierarchical bishop's liturgy, is very particular, and it is best for the glorification of the Lord when it is functioning smoothly and without mistakes. Why do I say that? I say that because when there are mistakes and even sloppiness because of inattentiveness, that people are people, that happens, the mistakes become noticed by the people who are worshiping when people are bumping into each other or getting in the way of each other, or mistakes occur which cause words to be said. All of these things are distractions to the people from focusing on their worship of the Lord. That's why it's so important that the worship be undertaken carefully, thoughtfully, and really especially prayerfully. When the worship is being disturbed by various mistakes, people are distracted. When the worship is done correctly and well, and people are prayerful themselves at fulfilling their responsibilities in the worship, it is supportive and helpful to the faithful to grow in their own praise and worship of the Lord and focus on Him. And so that is the essence of the reason for paying so much attention. I didn't mention the name of this protodeacon who eventually became ordained to the holy priesthood, and that is, he was at that time protodeacon Nazari Polotaiko. He's an iconographer as well as an apt administrator, and actually a deacon who he was at the time a deacon who really was a deacon in every sense of the word. He was competent in worship, in leading worship, in organizing the people who were serving, organizing the bishop too, which is what all good deacons do. But beyond that, he was caring for people and looking after their needs. He visited them, and he was loved by the people amongst whom he served. And he had a gift of iconography, which he shared with a lot of people by giving courses, and also, of course, by painting. He and his wife together were and still are iconographers, and they produce both correct and beautiful iconography. There are large icons on the walls of the cathedral here that are examples of his work, and on the iconostas of this cathedral, the cross in the middle of the iconostas on the top, it was carved by his father in Chernovtsi. Eventually, it developed that Father Nazari went away from the Diocese of Canada and was taken to a parish in Los Angeles, where he has been continuing in the same way, of course not organizing a diocese anymore, but certainly organizing, building, and strengthening a really historical parish in that city, the intercession of the Theotokos. I could say much more, but that's enough for now. Okay.